A very good evening to all of you. My name is Doso Radido, and this is the She Leads livecast brought to you by Soundfall Publishers in partnership with the She Leads project. I'm so glad that we get another opportunity this evening to meet and to talk. These conversations have become very exciting lately, and most of us are always waiting for this hour, this time, every Monday, every Thursday, so we can gather around and be able to pick insights and lessons from the women leaders that are coming on board to help us to understand the subjects and the topics that we are talking about. If you are like me, I know you've been waiting for this moment. And now that the time has come, it is our time now to be able to learn together, to interact, and to be able to sharpen ourselves. Today, we are going to have an amazing conversation on the subject of overcoming the victim mentality. And we are having an amazing guest joining us in the conversation by the name Eunice Maina. Those of you who have already joined, I want to thank you so much. Thanks for keeping time. Thanks for being here early. I know we have started it a little early. We're giving ourselves some time so that by 9:30, 7:30 exactly, the guest will be here with us, and then we shall engage. We shall go into the talk. So as we wait to get into the talk, I would just challenge you or ask you to kindly consider alerting people in your network, your friends. Let them know that we are live now. We are getting ready to listen from Eunice Maina, taking us through the subject of overcoming the victim mentality. Remember, this conversation is brought to you courtesy of Soundfall Publishers in partnership with She Leads project. The subject of discussion today is overcoming the victim's mentality. Today I'm going to be assisted by two amazing ladies who will help me to handle the meeting, to handle the conversation. I am also waiting for them to join in. I think I can see one of them here already. I will have Electin Kunyu helping me, and I'll also be assisted by Miss Joan Nakitende. So I want to see if I can admit them so that they can say hello to us. Meanwhile, I will request Eunice, because I can see her already in the meeting, to just lift up your hand, Eunice, like this. I'm going to admit you to join the speakers panel so that it's easy for you to be able to speak to us as soon as we begin to engage you. Thank you so very much, Eunice. That's very prompt. Meanwhile, as I admit Eunice, I will let Electin Kunyu say hello to us. Electin is going to assist me, and she'll be doing this together with Joan. So Electin, can you please say hello to us? Let us know how your day has been and what you expect from the meeting today. Electin.
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much. For those of us who are joining, my name is Electin Kono. I'll be co-hosting with Doso and Joan. For those of us who are joining, please share this live with your network so that they can be able to join the conversation. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so very much, Electin. Good to have you here. Then we have Joan is also in the house. She's also going to be helping me to handle today's conversation. Joan, if you can hear me, please unmute your microphone and say hello to us.
Thank you so much, Doso. I'm excited to be here.
I don't know what's going on with her, but I guess I will allow her a minute or two to be able to sort out that technical issue, and then she will be back again. Meanwhile, as we wait for her to do that, allow me to thank you again so very much for for joining the conversation. Today's discussion is going to be quite exciting, quite interesting, because it is going to be handled by somebody who has the experience, the knowledge, the wisdom, and she's willing to help us understand how to navigate that. We are looking at overcoming the victim mentality, and our guest today is the amazing Eunice Maina. She's already here. She came in quite early, and so we are sure that everything is going to be okay. So meanwhile, before we get into the conversation, if you are joining us now, I would like to request you to alert people in your network. Let them know we are live today, and right now we are just about to start. In about a minute or two, we should be able to start. The topic of discussion today being overcoming victims mentality. So if you can alert a few people, let them join us today. That's going to be very, very good. Meanwhile, let me see if Joanne can be able to say hello to us. She was just beginning to talk to us, and then she developed some technical hitches. Joanne, if you can hear me now, if your gadgets are stable, you can say hello to us now. Joe, we cannot hear you, Joanne. Please, if you can do something about that. Well, I'm not sure whether it's my gadget, but looks like she's still not able to communicate with us. All right. We are right at 7:30 p.m. and so we can officially begin. As I said early, today's guest is Eunice Maina. She's joining us to help us cover the topic of overcoming the victim mentality. Eunice Maina is a visionary business leader and the founder of a number of companies, 20X Entrepreneur Limited, and the CEO and founder of Bismart online insurance comparison platform. Her work, which spans over 12 years, has been recognized through various awards that she has won. She has been recognized as top sales agents in the Association of Kenya Insurance Agents Annual Awards for 4 years in a row. She has been recognized by the Women in Tech Innovative and Scalable Business Model Award by Standard Chartered Bank in 2018. The same year, 2018, she was awarded by the Westerwelle Young Founders in Berlin. 2019, she also bagged another award by the Make IT in Africa German Startup Tour. And then 2020, Women in Africa 5-4. She was awarded by that. And then I think she also has another award from the Launch and Grow the Kenya Women Entrepreneur Leadership Program by Boston University Executive Education. She is an author of 2 books, I think more than 2 right now as we speak, and a sales accelerator trainer. Some of her books include Sell Me This Pen and Entrepreneurship Hits and Misses, and of course the She Leads Women Lessons from Women in Women Leaders Volume 2, which is going to be launched next week on Friday at the Trademark Hotel. So without much ado, allow me to bring Eunice to the podium to say hello to us. Eunice, if you can hear me, please say hello to us. Hello, Eunice, can you hear me? Well, I'm not sure whether I am the one who is having issues with my gadget. Can any one of you hear me?
Hear you clearly.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for confirming that. Eunice, if you are able to speak, please. Well, I think she's also having some trouble with her gadgets, but as soon as she's able to speak, she will be able to speak to us. As we wait for her to do that, we were having a small trouble with John. John, can you hear? Can you hear me? Can you say something so that I can be sure you are able to speak to us?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Thank you
Loud and clear.
Thank you so very much. Eunice, are you able to speak now? Eunice, Maina, can you hear me? Yeah, if you can hear me, please just unmute your microphone and say hello to us. Your microphone seems to be muted now. Well, I apologize for that technical hitch. We'll allow her a minute or two to see if she can be able to work on her gadgets. Meanwhile, I do not know what your expectation is for today's conversation. The topic of the day today is overcoming the victim mentality. Of course, the word victim mentality is coined from two words, victim and mentality, which speaks to the mind. And the guest is coming to help us understand how to navigate this. I think a bit of what we are going to learn today could be coming from a personal story or personal experience. So I don't know what your expectation is.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yes, we can hear you, Eunice.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Sorry, I think the microphone was not working.
yeah, it's okay. Sometimes these gadgets decide to misbehave when we do not want them to misbehave. But we are glad to have you here. So please go ahead, say hello to us, and let us know how your day has been. Then we can jump straight into the discussion.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to see you all this evening, and had a wonderful day. And looking forward to this conversation.
Wow, thank you so very much. We are happy to have you here. Personally, I feel like I am relieved now that we are able to hear you. You know, if it refuses to work now, there is no way we can hear from you. So it's so good that you have made it to come and that everything is now working well. So straight into the discussion. Before we go into the discussion, I would want you to help us understand a little bit about yourself beyond what I have done in the introduction. I know you are more than what I have said. So please feel free to add on to what I have said and let us know you a little more than what I have said.
Maybe what I would add is that yes, Eunice Maina is married. She's a mother and a wife, and also a scientist who turned to be a salesperson.
All right.
Yes.
Where did you move from science to sales, Eunice?
Just so you know, sales is a science. You know that?
You will help me.
So I apply science to sales.
All right.
I teach people the science of selling.
Ah, that's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. Thank you so very much. And I think I looked through your profile, and your science is mathematics science.
Yes, I studied chemistry and mathematics in Chiromo campus, the University of Nairobi. And then after that, I also studied advanced diploma in computer studies. And I'm also a Microsoft certified system engineer.
Wow. Too much of science in one person, but it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here. So let's go straight into the topic of the day, overcoming the victim mentality. I wonder what comes to your mind when this subject is mentioned, and why you are so passionate about victimhood, victims mentality, and how people should be able to navigate this.
Yeah. Why am I passionate about this is over time, over the many or the few years that I've lived, I have realized that we are in control of two things, our thoughts and our actions. And because we're in control of our thoughts, the Bible says that, that we are, or rather out of the, I'm trying to put that verse, is disappearing, that that as a man thinketh, so he is.
Yes.
That's a verse. And because of that, I find like our limitations are mostly in our mind, and we tend to blame other people and other circumstances for where we end up being. Yet we are in control of our thoughts, and we all know that thoughts become actions. So because we're in charge of those two, we may not be in charge of the outcome. We're not in control of the outcome, but we're in control of what we think and how we act. And therefore, then we should be willing to own our actions and ultimately our results.
Wow.
Yeah.
What you're saying is so powerful that we are in control of two things, thoughts and actions, and most of our limitations are in the mind. Do you think many people know this truth? Because if it was this easy, then we should have a lot more people experiencing success than what we are seeing today.
It's not easy because and I don't think it's lack of knowledge. I think there's so much information about this because these are words that we keep saying on a daily basis. But there's always a gap between what people know and what they do. And therefore, the head knowledge is there. We all know that, yes, our thoughts become things. They become our actions. And we all know that even the Bible says that we need to be transformed by renewal of our mind. So that means that our mind is the most powerful part of our lives. And the way to deal with success or failure or whatever we call it, that battle is fought in the mind. So that knowledge we all have. However, the doing, the execution part is what lacks. And because doing is not easy. Internalizing that knowledge is not easy. That's why then many of us struggle, to navigate through life situations because as much as we know, doing is another whole ball game. Yeah.
All right. So looks like victimhood is largely a mental thing.
Yes, it is.
All right.
It is. Let me give an example. It's easy to blame. For example, if you go in late for a meeting, of course, there's a good excuse that there was traffic. But if you look at it, if you critically look at it, you got into traffic because you started moving late. If you had started earlier and you know that, this is Nairobi and, it takes at this particular hour, there's traffic. If you give yourself an allowance, then you'll not be late. But it's easy to just say, I got caught up in traffic. And because it's excusable, we take that excuse as a reason. Yes.
All right, that's so good. So what in your opinion causes this problem? Where does it come from, and I mean, how does it come about?
I think it's there's something called character.
Yes.
And character is developed when we keep our own promises to ourselves. So, for example, at the beginning of every year, people set resolutions. And by March, very few people are able to keep up to the resolutions that they set. And what happens there is you put down things that you have not, you don't have an intention of following through. Or you're not committed to it enough that whatever happens, you're going to follow through. So what happens is that you break your own promises to yourself. And you see, if you keep promises to yourself or commitments that you've made to yourself, you develop character.
Yes.
And it is quite biblical. Forgive me, I like to use the Bible because it's a book that guides me.
That's okay.
And I believe that, everything that we need to learn in this world is actually written in that book. And it says that count it all joy when you face many trials, because these trials, help you develop your character. So character development comes in by just honoring your own commitments to yourself. Now, once you honor your own commitments to yourself, the next thing is now starting to honor commitments and promises you make to others. The Bible says that your yes be yes and your no be no. So when we break the first one, we break our own promises to ourselves, and then we break and our commitment to ourselves. So we lose on developing character. And that means then we can't develop relationships that are going to help us to propel to the next level, because we are so used to breaking promises. So people cannot take your word seriously. So that leads to now what you're calling the victim mentality. That's where you hear people saying, my family cannot support me, my friends do not support me. You look for all the reasons that, things are not happening in your life. But it begins with breaking your own commitments to yourself and your own promises to yourself. And then, of course, you break the commitments to others. And it's basically, I would call it lack of that commitment to your words. Yes, we take our words for granted.
Yes. Do you think someone's background, the upbringing, the environment that they have grown in, the kind of exposure that they have been exposed to can condition people to form this nature without even knowing that they are conditioned into victimhood?
I think so. I think it begins at home. Because if you are so used to getting disapproved or being looked down upon, maybe by parents or your siblings, that could cause you to. I'm not a psychologist, so I may not be able to explain it better than a psychologist. But I think yes, that could that exposure could lead us to that victim mentality. Because if you grew up, they say that monkey do, monkey see. So if you grew up seeing your parents being victims, there's also a possibility that you will either do the opposite of them, or follow what they do. But I think we learn these things from home, what we observe, what we hear, and ultimately we grow up becoming all those. But I don't think we are condemned to that. I think if we can invest in self-awareness, in understanding why we behave the way we do, that awareness could lead us to breaking free from those situations. Yeah.
Well, it is Les Brown who says that one of the biggest pandemics of our time is the pandemic of conformity. Everybody wants to be like what everybody is, and therefore many people do not know their true identities. I wanted to speak to this, especially in the work environment, because if there are two places that really shape our lives, is actually there are three: the homes we come from, the schools we attend because it's part of the community, and then of course the work environment that we expose ourselves to, because an adult like me spends half of the day in the workplace, so that the environment of the workplace somehow can just shape me in particular ways. And I know sometimes those workplaces are not the very best. Some of them are very demeaning, some of them are very bashing and stuff like that. So give us your opinion about that, and tie it with your experience, because you've had quite some journey transitioning from what looked like a flourishing career into something else, and you experience people telling you some things,
Yeah, you're right. Workplaces can also lead to this. And I think it begins, from home, then school. And for those of us who went through 844, and maybe raised by the parents like me, whereby the parents operated on a mold that, for you to be successful, you need to become something. And this something could be a teacher, a lawyer, an engineer. Now, if you break that norm, you're actually an outcast, because you're not conforming to the standards that are laid by the society.
Yes.
Now, what happens is that we take that to our workplaces. Now, in the workplaces, you'll meet those same parents who believe that careers are accounts, they're those careers.
Yes.
And there's a way they were raised that, there are rules to be obeyed, whether they are right or wrong. And so when we go to these places and you want to fit.
I'm sorry, looks like we have lost you, Eunice. If you could,
myself, and I just remain in my cocoon and say, oh, everything is not working out for me. I'm just going to remain in this place stagnated. What happens in that situation where we just tolerate the victim mentality, not only as the average employee, but also as leaders? When we tolerate the victim mentality and we sit on it and we let it grow, what happens after that?
Thank you, Joanne, for that. I think this is where I say, either way you've lost. So long as you are a victim, you are a loser. You've lost. Why? Because if you're a leader and you're in that organization, and in this passing time so that you can pay the bill, a day is coming and you're going to lose that job and you're not be ready. So why don't you just, when you're feeling like this is not a place for me, just ask, what is this that I can do that will make a big impact, and then I can leave? Or can I leave now? Now, the danger of living when you're in mediocrity is that you go with your mediocrity to where you're going. So it's better to just kick yourself and say, hey, I need to give my best for the next 6 months, and I know that after 6 months, I am done. I have given all that I need to do, and somehow, one of my bosses actually, in the organization I was working in, the GM, I once asked him, how did you get where you got? And his answer was profound. I find it profound up to this day. He told me, because he had risen from being, an accountant all the way to GM, and he told me, Eunice, the little things that you do them very well. Somebody might know, and that I carry with me all through. That little thing that you're doing there, that's what you think is insignificant. Might notice. And I carry that people may not notice, but someone might. So I'll, do it so well. And there's somebody else who says that if you're a street sweeper, be the best street sweeper in that place. Just be the best in your area, in your little area of influence. Just give it your best. I know it's easier said than done because it takes a lot of know what? We are all gifted in that. We just need to rise up and say, you know, I am done here, but before I leave, I need to leave an impact. I need to live well. I don't want to live with, baggage. And I don't remember who said that behavior does not lie. Yeah, it's Gary Ryan who says behavior does not lie. If you have a behavior of mediocrity and complaining, you will carry that to the next organization and to the next organization and even into your business. Because some people want to leave job so that you start a business. If you think your job is so hard, I think business is harder. So you better make it happen at your workplace before you quit. I've been employed and I've been in business, and I can tell you, business is much harder than to be employed. So don't carry your mediocrity from your workplace and then you take it to your business. You won't. I mean, it won't work.
Mm. Wow, amazing, amazing. Um, so the victim mentality has to be dealt with from wherever you are, whether you're in a business or you're in a job or you're just a housewife. I see that the victim mentality is something that is all around and has to be dealt with wherever you are before you go to the next level. Thank you so much. That's yeah.
I wanted to add something.
Yes.
The day you realize that nobody, I mean, it's not about you. That's You'll be very happy. I mean, when somebody realizes, you know what, the world does not just revolve around me, and
Mm.
by the way, nobody cares. Everybody cares about themselves, and therefore, I just have to rise up and stand up for myself and do what I'm meant to be doing at this moment.
Mm.
Not for many years, just today, this moment that you're gifted to be there, wherever you are, at such a time as this, give it your all and just know it's not about, I mean, nobody cares. So do not expect that, people should really stop, the world should stop because you're there. If they do, well and good, and lucky you, and, be happy, but don't take it for granted. Uh, because when I'm teaching salespeople, I tell them everybody listens to one FM station. This FM station is called What is in It for Me. So your organization is asking what is in it for me. Your boss is asking what is in it for me. You're asking what is in it for me. There need to be one person who is a bigger person and say, look, I need to temporarily pause my what is in it for me so that I can listen to what is in it for others, and therefore I am, so that you realize you're in control of whatever happens in your, whether it's in your department, whether it is in your, just your area of influence. You're the one in control, and you can be able to manage to just pause a little bit, listen to others before you say wanna kuonea, that these people don't like you. I mean, why should they? You know, uh, why should they? Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for that. Just before we continue, I would like to know if there is anyone who has a question in the audience. If you have a question, you can just raise your hand and you will be you'll be, given the opportunity to speak. Just raise your hand and you'll be given the opportunity to speak. Um, so, Eunice, you have really shared a lot about overcoming this victim mentality and getting out of, some people call it a cocoon, some people call it rising from the ashes and putting yourself together. But if I'm to take it to a leadership perspective, and I'm leading someone who is experiencing this, who is beaten down by their victim mentality. Let's say, okay, I'm trying to train a salesperson, but then are beaten down by the victim mentality. How can I empower such a person to get themselves together?
Very good question, Joan. Sometimes I wonder whether anyone can empower anyone, but that's a debate for another day. Because I think the power is within us. But what I would do in such a case, and what I do, mostly being a coach, a sales coach, um, is one thing that we all know. That, is the deep desire for all of us, in all of us, to feel seen, to feel heard, and to feel understood. And everyone, especially even those who are, are in that cocoon of, feeling like the whole world is against them. It is just their expression of how they feel seen, heard, and understood. And so they're coiling back so that they can attract attention, because that's their way. And as I said, I'm not a psychologist. I have a friend who is a psychologist who can do that very well. But those three desires are inside all of us, whether you're a leader, whether you're a salesperson, whether you're a house help, whatever you are, those are the three basic needs of a human being. So what do I do as a leader? I want to understand what is it that they want to achieve. And even in all our sales training, the first the first thing that I take through the sales people is, first of all, what do you want? What are your hopes? What are your desires? What are your dreams? Because each and every person comes to an organization with hopes, dreams, and desires. And some of them are broken, others they give up on them. And so my work is to show them how this can still be achieved within the organization or within whatever they are doing. And my observation is that when you have done that, when you've taken through, especially the salespeople, what are your vision? Where do you want to go? What is this that matters to you most? And how can the organization help you achieve this? So connecting these personal dreams or personal goals with organization goals, when those two match, Joanne, a magic happens, and people believe that they can do it, and they actually do it. So I don't know whether that is empowering people, because I think they have power within themselves, but it is just being able to understand, to make them feel seen, um, seen, heard, and understood. Because when you take them through that journey of knowing who they are, why they are, what drives them, I mean, they will definitely rise up. No human being wants to actually be a victim, but when we don't feel those three needs are not met, we coil back. So as a leader, I would recommend that you're not working with machines. You're working with human beings who have dreams, they have hopes, they have their desires, just like you do. Take time and listen to what theirs are, and show them how the organization can help them achieve that. Remember what I said? Everybody listen to one FM station. It is called What is in It for Me. When people know that I am doing this for myself, I always tell business leaders and sales leaders that nobody comes to your office to work for you. Nobody. Nobody comes to work for you. Everybody wants, all people want to work for themselves. Now, working for yourself doesn't mean you have to start your own business. But even in the organization where you work, you're working for yourself. So the leaders, the bosses, the owners, the business owners need to understand that people are not coming to work for you. They're coming to work for themselves. And you are also listening to that FM station. That what is in it for you is that so long as people are working for themselves in your organization, you will definitely achieve your organization goals. But when you just become mechanical, where you just want to manage numbers, you deliver no results or very, just the bare minimum. What many business owners call retainer. You pay them retainer to retain the job. So they only do what will retain their job. But when you go beyond that and realize that it's a human being, they have dreams, and you connect those dreams to and show them how they're I think organization helps. You will have more people who are engaged, people who are committed, people who are going to even defend your business, but you cannot close the business because they're even willing to take a pay cut because of what it means to them. I hope I've answered you, Joanne.
Yes, yes, amazing. That is an eye opener for me. I've learned something new today. That people want to be heard, they want to be uh, understood, and they want to be seen. Wow, that is something new for me, and I believe that all of us here can carry that one in our leadership endeavors. Is there anyone who has a question as we continue? You can raise your hand, and then we will give you an opportunity to speak your question, or you can also send it to my co-host, Electine. Yes, I saw a hand raised. Yes. Uh, Noel, you can please go on and give us your question.
Hi, thank you for the session. It's quite insightful. So, question you've answered in the aspect of a leader, and a leader is better placed to mold the people who follow them or the people they're leading. So, what if this is your colleague and they're doing the bare minimum to retain their job, but you have to work with them? How do you go about that?
Well, good question, Noel. I think just the same as the leader, you just need to know that your colleagues are also going to still have the same discipline. And this have been taught by my friend, one of my friends called Irene. She's a psychologist, and I've seen it even working with my colleagues and even working with my employees. That you need to go and find out, why are they just giving the bare minimum? And most of the time, it's because they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard, and they don't feel understood. And that's what they're there to pay bills. Why? Because the economy is hard. I am not going to leave the job, so I just do the bare minimum. And yeah, to keep the job. Now, unfortunately, when your colleagues do that, you all go down together because when the organization doesn't make profit, you all lose your job. So I think it's the same thing. Just reach out. Just know that you're working with a human being who just needs those three basic things. Find out what drives them, what is it they are going through. It could be they are really having challenges at home and other places, and nobody seems to understand. So I would still reach out and to know what is happening. Um, yes, many people say that your colleagues are not your friends. That is true. But if you could help a colleague, then you all could help an organization grow. Yeah, I don't know whether I've answered you well. And
Noel,
I'm sure you've experienced. Yeah. Okay.
yes,
I
Eunice,
wanted to
please go
add,
ahead.
Noella. Yeah, I'm sure you've experienced a situation whereby, or maybe you haven't, but I have personally experienced a situation whereby, I've been able to help a colleague turn around their lives just just because you showed care. It said that people don't care how much you know, but how much you care about them. And it could be just a very simple thing, maybe a boss did something or a colleague did something, and that has, not everybody has the same strength that Eunice has to dust themselves and to realize nobody cares, you're on your own. Others, still want to know, to believe that somebody cares, and you could be the turning point for that colleague.
Okay, I hear you, and that makes a lot of sense. But then you've listened to them and you know what the problem is, but you're not in a position to sort that problem out. You have tried to be caring, you've tried to be understanding, you've tried to motivate them, but at the end of the day, you end up having to do their share. I'm talking about this because I've experienced it, and it's someone who reported to me. So you end up having to do their share of the job, of the work, because they're basically just not doing it. And you do not want to escalate because you know what they're going through. So you just have to do it
Mm,
on their behalf.
mm. What I would do in that situation, number one, I'll not do anybody's work. Um, because you see, it disables them. You're not enabling. You're actually enabling that behavior. They just need to realize that there are consequences. Yes, you have situations you're going through, but you're in a workplace, and you either get help and be willing to get the help. Because one thing I have learned over time, and even observing colleagues and even my employees, is that nobody can actually, inspire you. You're the one to get it. You must get inspiration from within you. Yes, people can trigger you to do that, but it is when people want to change, they actually do it. And it means that your colleague is not willing to make the change or is not at the point where they want to do the change. Maybe a situation whereby they lose the job or they're given a warning, that could be a wake up call for them. And you may have to just let them go through it. Because again, we're not, you're not going to save the world. You can only do so much. You don't have to go down when others are going down. So for me, I would just, communicate that, this is going to lead you to lose your job. Eh? So in addition to the programs you're going through, this is what is awaiting you. And if they can't see that, then it will happen, and somehow they will survive or they will get over it at some point, unfortunately. So my answers are based on practicality and what I have been able to experience. Because I'll not take on your work. I will not. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Noel, for that educative question because I believe each of us has someone who is going through that stuff, and we've been put in situations where we have to do people's work. But I hope your colleague will be helped somehow. And if there is anyone else who has a question, you can raise your hand and we will give you the opportunity to speak. But for now, let me ask my co host, Ele.
Thank you so much, Joanne. I think you've lost it before you could let me speak. I hope the rest can hear me. So, a question here. I think it's just in the same line to what you've just been talking about earlier. The question goes like, how can one balance between knowing their worth and addressing their needs?
Did you say knowing your worth in
Yes,
terms of value and
yes, knowing,
addressing needs?
yes,
That's a very good question. Um, you know, the worth and the need. This is again a disclaimer. This is my belief and also my experience. That so long as you add value, your needs will be met. Um, and let me talk about. I hope the question is geared towards the need in terms of the money. And my perspective about money is that money is a reward for value added. Now, many Kenyans confuse value with difference. And I've seen, because we recruit on behalf of organizations, especially we recruit sales teams. So you'll find someone who has done a master's in, marketing and all those, almost doing PhD. And or can you add to the organization, not how many papers that you can bring to the organization. Now, if you can add value, if you're looking for a sales job, the value addition is make sales happen. Sales is numbers. So it's just uh, get your hands dirty, make the sales happen. That is value. And you should be able to demonstrate and say, look, since I came in, this has been the numbers I brought in. Now, if you're not working with sales, there are deliverables that you can show that when I came in, this organization was making this amount of losses because of lack of systems and processes. I came in, I put in these processes in place, and the organization is making this profit. That is value. But if you say that your value is the paper you did in the university, I'll be one of the people to ask you, are you selling me a paper? No. So money is a reward for value added. The more value you add, the more money you should make. And now, if you're not able to articulate your value, that is where now you come, we teach you how to sell. because now selling is being able to demonstrate the value that you provide. So if you've been able to add value and you don't see that people are noticing it, then you come to us and we will help you to package so that you demonstrate that value that you have added, and then you can be able to ask for either a raise or what I like most, and many people fear this. I always like to negotiate on valuable pay, and of course, mainly because I'm in a direct. I'm always in a direct sales job. Um, when I was getting promoted to be a country sales manager, one of the biggest challenge was with my boss to be was they could not afford me. Why? I was coming from a commission only job, and I was earning more than what managers were earning. And so getting a promotion in terms of title, but not in terms of money. And so he asked me, I remember, that Eunice, I really want to work with you, but we can't afford you. How do we afford you? And that's where we came up with a plan on how the organization could be able to afford me. And of course, I asked, okay, what are you offering? They gave me the offer, that was the salary for a manager, that I put in my pocket, and now we were able to negotiate on a valuable fee. That for every sale that was happened in that organization, I got a percentage of it. And so this is a win-win situation whereby so long as I'm adding more value, I earn more. So by the time I was leaving, I was earning, quite some good amount of money. Um, that yeah, many Kenyans don't earn that kind of money. So value and need, I think value comes first. Add as much value, and you will receive all that you need. The Bible says that give, it shall come back to you. Full measure, shaken together and running over. That means that the first thing that you do is to give value. Okay? Once you've given value, and giving value is not giving money, it is giving of your skills, it's giving of your commitment, it's giving of your genius, your brilliance at work, and then it comes back to you, full measure, shaken together and running over. Now, if you have added value in the organization and it is tangible and you can see it, and they do not, or rather, you're not able to negotiate equivalent of that value, that is when you leave. Leave and take that value elsewhere. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I think what I've heard is that add as much value that you can, so that you can be able to receive what you need, right? Thank you so much for that. John, are you still in?
Thank you, Alexine, for that question. It's really, it has made me wonder if I'm struggling with a victim mentality. Does it mean that I am I do not know my value. Maybe Eunice could help me understand that. If I'm
So yes, that is a possibility that that you do either number one, you do not know your value, and because you do not know your value, you don't go out to demonstrate that value, or you know your value and you have decided to sleep on it. Uh, and we've seen there are examples to that. If you remember, in the Bible, there is this story of the three people who were given talent. There's one who was given five, there's another one who was given two, and there's another one who was given one. The one who was given five and the one who was given two, they went and multiplied their talent and they gave double. The one who was given one, you can see the mentality, the victim mentality. Actually, you know what he said? That I knew you both. I knew you're a man who liked to reap where you did not sow. So he started giving excuses and accusing the boss, or rather the person who gave the talent, of, where we can, your work is just reaping where you did not sow. And because of that, I went and dug a hole and hid the talent. And I mean, any boss, any employer would just say, you know what, you foolish man, even that one, I'll take it away and I'll add it to other people. You're fired. And that is what victim mentality is about. So yes, you actually have the talent, you have something to offer, but you've decided, you know what, I know these guys, they will never pay you, they'll never increase your salary. These guys will just come and they're demanding so much from you. They want to call you after five and they don't pay you enough. And therefore, because I know this is what these guys are, I am going to sit here and just retain my job. And that's what many people do. Instead of saying, okay, I got one, I need to multiply that one. And you can see that it's not about how much you have, it's about how committed you are to multiply that which you have. And all of us are gifted. So it is either you don't know, and most likely, and that is not, it is very unlikely that you don't know. But the most likely is that you know and you want to whine. You want to point fingers to others that, here, you will never get promoted. Uh, you see, you need to, and this is where you hear issues of you need to be proud. Sorry, John. Yeah. You need to be, you don't need to be, if you're dark skinned in this company, you will not get promotion. They get all manner of excuses and forget the gift, the skill that they have, and they're supposed to be helping the organization to grow.
amazing. What I've taken away from what you just shared is that for me to, in case I'm struggling with a victim mentality, for me to rise out of that place of mediocrity and whatever comes along with the victim mentality is that I need to place a value on myself. And yeah, I need to understand what I want. I need to put to action my desire or my goal to be a better person. Um, yeah, at least that's what I've taken out from that, and I'm grateful for this conversation, Eunice. You have really spoken great things, and we are still continuing. I'm wondering if there is anyone else with a question. Please raise your hand, and we shall continue. If anyone has a question.
Well, I think I have a question. I don't know if I can be heard now.
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, thank you so very much, Eunice. I listened to your story, and there's something you say that to me is a demonstration of a sense of not just knowing your worth, but a sense of power and being in charge. When you give the example of how you handle the situation around your pay. Many people are afraid of committing themselves to that kind of a daring uh, an approach because a lot of people show up in their workplaces not willing to bite the bullet, not willing to bear the consequences of um, the eventuality of when things don't happen the way they're supposed to happen. That's why many people are comfortable with the retainers and all these things. And then the owners of the businesses or the owners of the companies are the ones that would have to deal with failure in case failure happens and stuff like that. So the approach that you used where you said because I think I've read a little bit of your story where you said you're telling them, all right, when you feel you'll be ready and capable of paying me or affording me, then you can give me a call. And you walked away, and it took like 3 4 months before they called you back.
Yeah.
So that kind of sense of power, of course, that demonstrates that you have reason. You've not just risen above victim mentality, but you are actually way on top of the world, so that you know what you're capable of doing. You know that you can take responsibility for it, and you know that you can be put to account to that, and you're not afraid of being misjudged or being misunderstood because you have demonstrated it before, and you're willing to take responsibility for it when given an opportunity.
Yes, yes, also. Yeah, and this doesn't just happen overnight.
Mm,
It's a journey. It's a journey of constantly rising above your situation
mm,
and circumstances and committing to the cause.
mm,
And so there's a lot of inner work that you have to do. And I'll give you an example. And why I'm able to, yes, it's true. They actually did the interview 3 times,
yes, yes.
looking for someone else.
Mm,
And because they kept calling me and saying, you're the best, but we can't afford you. And I told them, you know what? You go for your second or your third best. Um, yeah, because that's what you're looking for.
yes.
If you want the best, then you will call me in negotiation.
Mm,
And how coming to that has been a journey of physically dealing with self, doing the inner work, and as I said earlier, of building character, whereby you promise yourself something and you're willing to do what it takes to honor your own promise to yourself. I'll give you an example. Um, when when I started selling insurance as an agent, and when I got into the organization, I sought to find out what the highest person had done in that particular branch, in that region. And when I was given the figure, I was saying, the day I achieve that is the day I leave the job. So that tells you I'm always prepared to leave. But I said the standard, I will leave at my terms, not anybody's terms. So what I did, I realized I was staying so long. This was my third year in the organization. Yes. And I decided the next year is the final year I'm here, and I am going to achieve that. Selling life insurance is difficult also.
mm,
Those who have been in insurance know that doing over 10 million in 1 year, it's a really uphill task.
mm,
So when I looked, I decided it is the year I'm going to achieve it, and I don't have another year. I only have that 1 year. So one of the things that I had to do, it sounds very simple and crazy, that I I read this verse in the Bible that says, "Lay off all the weight that entangles you,
mm,
so that you can run the race that is ahead of you,
mm,
that is laid ahead of you." I took it literally. I was quite heavy then, physically, and I said, for me to be able to achieve 3 months, I had lost 12 kgs. Of course, I didn't look very nice because I became very thin. But I had to do it.
Uh-huh.
Now, that to me was a demonstration that I will achieve the other bigger goal. So you need to learn to do small wins, win, push yourself to win. That one thing. Don't do too many things.
Mm.
Pick one area that you want to win. Because when you teach yourself to win, success is, I would say, it can be copied. It can be, it's repeatable. So once you succeed I've succeeded in losing 12 kilos, that means I'm going to succeed in doing the 10 million. All right? And in that, what it communicates to you, to your subconscious, is that you did this, so you can also do this one.
Mm.
And that year, also, I can tell you that it was a very difficult year
Mm.
because that year I had a miscarriage and I have a goal that I was not going to compromise.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember very well, I looked at the doctor, I cried myself off. I went home and I told Eunice, uh, you need to cry the whole night if you can, because tomorrow you're going to work. And because the goal has to be achieved. I don't have another year because I need another job. I am done doing this, but being an agent. And that way, you teach yourself to win. So um, when I got this opportunity and they interviewed me and they say I'm the best, and then they say, but we can't afford you, I was like, you know what? I don't have to work here. I remember I told them that, if the company can't afford me, it means I've outgrown the organization. And therefore, I need to look for another organization. And that power is out of work. Even today, I am, I do consultancy, and we actually manage sales team. And even how I negotiate our pay, it is, it's valuable. It's based on results.
Mm.
And as you say, it is not easy to commit to something that is tangible. That's why you find many people want to do the easy job, the one that you can't even quantify what they are doing.
Mm.
But you see, that is what now breeds more mediocrity. You want to go in and say, look, I'm going to commit to this. If it doesn't work, it's not because I did not do my best, but it is because it just did not work. I am not in control of the outcome, but I am in control of my thoughts and my actions. So I'm going to put in the actions that are needed. I'm going to put my mind into it. And if the outcome is different, then clearly it could not be done. And even you have seen that. So yeah.
Wow, I love what you're saying. I so much love what you're saying. And when you speak like this, you remind me of this corporate corporate behavior or there's something that happens within the corporate world that affects what we call corporate politics. In my opinion, the way I look at it sometimes is that sometimes people use their weaknesses to ask for things. For example, give me this because I have this disadvantaged background and stuff like that. And sometimes I feel like there is an element of victim mentality in that. And as you comment on this, I want you to help us put this into the perspective of women and women's leadership, because there is something interesting about what they call imposter. Sometimes I call it feelings of being unworthy, or all these things. A bit of it I feel is powered by this victim mentality, where somebody feels like I have to play weak, or I have to play something, and I use that as a leverage, or seek for sympathy, and something. And some people have used it the wrong way to even climb the corporate ladder, so that the strongest are fought. I don't know if you've ever been fought for being this strong and this bold and this daring. I want to hear your experience, Eunice.
Yes, I hear you. Yes, that feeling of, because
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a failure to understand why organizations exist.
Mm.
You see, they don't exist to pay your rent.
You're right.
They're not there to pay your bill. They're actually there to grow and pay their own bills. So you can't negotiate on your bill. You should be able to find out what does the organization want to achieve.
Mm.
How can I help them achieve it so that I also achieve what I want?
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. I talked about that where also the leaders need to know what does this employee or this person want to achieve and how can we help them achieve so that you also achieve. So it's a two-way traffic.
Mm.
But it's not about your needs. It is about what needs to be done for the other person to get what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So if you negotiate to a point of, the cost of living is high, if you come to me with that, I'm like, you know what, we're not here to pay you. Unfortunately, it sounds rude, it sounds rough, but it's a reality. Nobody is out to pay your bills. Nobody cares about the things you have at home.
Mm.
If they do, it's a bonus, and you should not even talk about it.
Mm.
It is just because they're trying to be human.
Mm.
So, have I been fought? Oh yes. Oh my God, that has been a journey. Where? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The first time that we had a good fight, it was actually with my boss.
Mm.
My boss, when I went to ask, because I figured I was earning a salary as a trainer, and I figured that amount, even if I took my child to that college, I could not afford it, even when I'm given a discount, a relative, because we used to have a relative scheme.
Mm.
Even when I'm given a relative scheme discount, I could not afford. And so what I did was to find out. Well, I was reading quite a number of books, and all the books I read were gearing towards for you to make a lot of money, you need to learn how to sell.
Mm.
So what I did, I went to my book because I had no intention of leaving my job. All I wanted was to make more money. So I went to my boss and I had crafted this good idea. I call it good. I think it's still good. Whereby I'm going to be selling our program to the organization in that particular county, and then in so I'll market the organizations. I was in Mombasa, so I was looking at. I'll go to KPA. I'll sell the program to KPA employees, and then in return, KPA we shall send our young students to KPA as interns.
Mm.
So I had figured out how the organization would benefit and how the students would benefit and how these KPA and the other organizations would benefit. And when I presented that idea to my boss, he said, "That is what I do," and that is when I knew, wow, I don't have a job here, and that's when I left.
Mm.
And I went to look for a sales job.
Mm.
Uh, the next time we've had a lot of these fights. Um, just before I left my job, my immediate boss, we used to have very big conflicts. Why? Because I came in with this. Remember, I negotiated my salary plus commission so long as business is happening. And so I come in and I will get. I remember the first account I got was very huge, but what they needed was off the policies, the organization policy. And so we needed to adjust to be more flexible to accommodate this customer. So when I went to my meeting board, he told me we can't do that. And I remember we had a fight because I asked him, tell me why we cannot. And he insisted and said, I said we cannot do it. So I decided, let me go to his boss so that the boss can explain why it cannot be done. So I called his boss and I said, boss, I am told this cannot be done. I don't want you to tell me to do it. I don't want you to say it can be done. I want you to explain to me why it cannot be done. So why is the answer no and not yes?
Mm.
Because your person has refused to explain. And I remember that's the best boss I ever had. The one now, his boss.
Mm.
And he asked me, Eunice, explain to me the situation. Sorry. And I explained the situation. I told him what we need to adjust and why we need to adjust. And I told him this account, how profitable it will be. And he told me, Eunice, go ahead. Because I
Mm-hmm.
went ahead. That was the most profitable account
Mm.
I ever had.
Mm.
So the next one, I bring in, and then my meeting boss says, no, um, we're not going to train these people until they pay or they commit. And I'm looking at him, I'm asking him, hey, are you okay? Since when did customers write a letter to say that when you that we are going to buy, uh, so you can train our people to understand your product so that we buy? And I called it boss again, and he told me, Eunice, go ahead. So when I went ahead, I put him to be number one to train, and he had to show up. So yes, there has been many of those. But remember, I am there for a purpose. As I said, when I go to a place, I give all, not
Mm.
80%. I give 110%. And
Mm.
therefore, if you stand on my way, unfortunately, you're the one who's going to struggle because it will be done. I'll go to all the offices that can be gone to, and we'll get it done.
Wow, this is quite insightful. This is the voice of Eunice Maina sharing with us how to overcome the victim mentality. What I like about Eunice and what she says is that she is speaking from experience and she says things that she has demonstrated, she's done, she's been awarded for. I think at the beginning when we started the conversation, we mentioned the awards that she has received, not just for being the kind of person she is, but the kind of for the kind of impact that she has also created. Today, helping us to understand the subject overcoming the victim mentality. Eunice, there are so many women who are desiring to be leaders, to become something, to have a voice, to be heard, to create an impact, to be seen, to be felt. But many of them seem to be held back by the stories that are going on in the mind. I like what you're calling it, the FM station in the mind. What can you say about this? Could this be people who are feeling small because they are gripped by the powers of victimhood and they feel like they need some sympathy to be seen, to be felt, to be heard?
Yes, how we project that need is different for different people.
Mm.
And I think the point of awareness, whereby and you can get help. There are books, there are people who can actually help you be aware of why you feel so insignificant when you are so powerful. Because I believe all of us, each one of us, is so powerful, but we feel insignificant because of maybe growing up, our voices were silent many times, or you've gone to places whereby people have made you feel so small, but you're not really small. So it's a question of, can people just take time to know, to master who they are? Because self mastery is the biggest mastery that you can do. Knowing who are you, what are your talents, what are your passions, what is this that you can, that you're made to bring to the world because you already have it. Just to discover it and let nobody, stop you from that. So, and it begins with just owning, taking ownership and saying, you know what, this is what is happening right now. It is not what should happen. I am powerful. I am great. I have something to offer. That's why I have this job. That's why I am doing this business because there was something, you know. And now, whatever the circumstances that have made you shrink, you need to be aware what are these and who is informing them. Because majority of these do not come from within us. They come from other people who want to fix us in some boxes because they themselves are already fixed, you know. Also, they're also suffering from the same. They are fixed in a box. They accepted to fit in, and now they want to fix you there. And you also want to accept, and you're going to perpetuate that because if you become a leader, when you have this victim mentality, you're going to make other people suffer. Because hurt people hurt others. You know, people in a box will box others. But when you understand who you are, what you're capable of, and being able to stand and say no, put boundaries and say, you know what, look, on this one, I disagree, respectfully, uh, but this, I need to do it. And it's not about you, it needs to be done, and we will do it. Just owning that space because it's your space. Yeah, so, and especially for us women, of course, there are other reasons why we feel down. You're coming from home, you have these kids who are in your, you have a spouse. There's so many things that we carry into the workplace as women. I think one of the things that men have learned to do better is maybe to compartment, right? Eh? They're putting things into compartments and saying, okay, I am here at work. I need to focus on what is in front of me. When you go home, you focus on what is at home. And most importantly, I think women need to learn to delegate. I think one of the things that have given me a lot of power is to be able to delegate what can be delegated. You're not meant to do it. You're not a superpower. You're not a superwoman. And just accepting that yes, I am not superwoman. I can only do so much and delegate the others. So that you don't go to work and now you're the same cooking in your kitchen now for busy and you're also picking the children. You're all over the place. You deny yourself that opportunity to give your all at that particular time. Yeah.
Wow, so much insights coming from you, Eunice. This is quite interesting. I'm wondering if there's anybody in the audience who could be having a question or a burning comment that they may want to share. I would just invite you to lift up your hand. We'll give you an opportunity. The time now is 8:53. We have been here for almost 2 hours now, and we have about 7 minutes to bring this conversation to a close for today. If you are like me, then you know that there's plenty of insights that are being shared here. One of the most powerful quotes that you have spoken here today, Eunice, is that success is repeatable. This is quite good. You need to learn how to succeed in small ways and then escalate, rise to higher levels and make it happen. And I believe that I so much agree with you. Not sure if there's anybody here who has a question. Electing, could you be having some questions from your end? Electing Kunyo, if you can hear me. Right, as she gets ready to bring questions, in case she has any, I'll ask Joanne if you have any question from your end, Joanne. Okay, seems like I cannot be able to. Yes, Joanne, please go ahead.
I believe it should be, we should name it the port of the night. That it's an eye opener for me because I've realized that when you achieve something small, then you can go on to the next level and achieve something slightly bigger. Then you go for another one and you go for another one. So there is never for us to remain comfortable with the little successes that we've achieved. that is just a takeaway for me from this conversation so far. That if I achieve something small, for example, Eunice says um, she was a country manager. She was never comfortable in that position. She realized, I believe this is one step towards overcoming challenges that we may be facing. Uh, more. There's always room for growth. There's always room for achieve more. So I'm just grateful for it. Yeah, that was just a comment from my side. It's repeatable. Yeah, that's it. Also.
Well, thank you so very much, Joan. Thank you so much. I don't know if Electrin can be able to hear me now. Electrin Kunyu, are you online? All right. Any other questions from the audience? Please, if you have a question, please raise your hand before we don't want to lock you out. A question or a comment is highly welcome. Well, I think I'll ask one last question as we bring this conversation to a close. We should be out of this place in the next 3 minutes. Eunice, I know you have been an employee, you have been a business person and a recruiter. You say you help organizations recruit as well as train in terms of enabling their people be able to deliver on what's needed to be done. I wonder whether you have been able to make sense of the economic effect or the impact of the victim mentality, especially in the workplace. What is the downside of having this mentality as part of the workplace culture or reality? Eunice, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Eunice?
Breaking, I've heard you where you're saying whether I've been able to make sense out of the economic impact,
Yes.
but I didn't hear the other part.
Yeah, my question is, could we have an idea of the impact of this victim mentality in terms of how much are we losing in our workplaces, or how much are we losing, how much consequence are we suffering either in our interactions, our social life, or even in the workplace? I know you are a corporate person. You probably may have some idea of what is the economic effect of victimhood and victim mentality in terms of how much are we losing.
Wow, a very good question there. There are quite a number of things. Number one, you also we say that in Kenya there is unemployment,
Yes.
and of course, we've seen where people go and to be recruited at the army, and you find 7,000 people there, and
Mm.
you're looking for just I don't know that were 800 or how many are needed.
Yes.
And every time that on our side at corporate level, we are jobs, but we don't have people.
Mm.
That's the irony. Because you see, people want money, people want to pay bills, but I am not sure People maybe they don't understand what work is about.
Mm-hmm.
So, so we have a lot of people who are looking for money, and there's a disconnect between those two.
Yes.
We because that's where you see people coming and saying, no, okay, you need to pay me 300,000 because this is how the economy is. So that's number one.
Mm.
I would call it it's a society, especially in Kenya, whereby instead of asking what can I give, we're a society that wants to take. So you're asking what can I take from this company? What
Yes.
can I take from my neighbor? What can I take from my parents? What can I take from my friends? So everybody wants to take. And no one or very few people are asking, what can I give? What do I have that I can give? And that's actually a victim mentality because you assume that the people you are asking from, they have, and you don't have. So you need to take from them. And I don't know where this is being taught. I think maybe it's our education system. I don't know where this mentality has come from, whereby it's about, I'm the only one who doesn't have, and therefore I need to take from those who have. So that's the number one victim mentality. And I think if we can change the mindset, and I think this needs to start from home, where parents are teaching their kids to give and not just to take. Um, you know, and then going to school, whereby we ask, what can we give to our country? What are the challenges our country is facing that we can help? What are we gifted that we can give to our nation and our organization? And the number two mentality, uh, and it is escaping my mind. Yes, yeah, it's whereby, and I've seen this in organizations. We go to train in an organization, and you know, people feel inadequate. They feel I'm too small to actually, point out the issues that are ailing the organization. And so you hear somebody say, I'm just an officer. I am just a cleaner. By the time they say I am just it means they have already disqualified themselves
Mm.
from making a difference in that
Mm.
organization.
Mm.
And how does that cost? And we've seen many companies lay off people. We've seen organizations close. My question is, how can a company close when it has people? And these people are all gifted in different ways. And in a particular organization, I realized that mentality and I told them, let's do this. We're going to do this together. We're going to change this organization together. And number one, we're going to fix your what is in it for you. All
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And then we fix what is in it for the organization.
Mm.
And they came up with very brilliant ideas on how they're going to help the organization get out of the hole, and how the organization will help them. So a win-win situation. But you see, when you say, I'm just an officer, I am just a secretary, I am just an admin, you've disqualified yourself to bring your genius, to bring your brilliance into this organization and share those ideas. Yes, I say this knowing that there are leaders who don't know how to take feedback, and it is time that they also realize that is the victim mentality. What are you fearing about your employees? What is that to fear? So sorry for that. So you understand?
Mm.
So people have already resigned, and they can't, they have resigned from being part of the organization. Number three, where victim mentality comes in, is where there's a disconnect, whereby when I'm a cleaner, I do not see how I contribute to making this organization keep growing. And this is now that leaders need to be able to help all the employees see how whatever little they do connect to making the the organization success. If we all pull in that, and now when there's that disconnect, what happens is, and I must mention this, I know many people don't like this. We get into a side hustle, country,
Mm.
whereby, I mean, the company will never pay me how much I want, because you see, I'm just a cleaner, I am just a secretary, I'm just an officer, and therefore, let me start my side business. What happens is that because you're divided, you will not bring your ideas into the organization.
Mm.
And what will happen is eventually all of us will be laid off.
Mm.
And this side hustles catch you, really, and now you've lost what you were calling your main hustle. And so it's a conversation we need to have between employers and employees and ask, how can we enable people to have side hustles and their income, grow their income within the organization, to show them how they can be entrepreneurs within their business. So that, so long as we continue with that victim mentality, the country will go down. Like right now, all of us are looking at the president to fix the economy,
Mm.
and we all know that he can't,
Yes,
because it is not a one-man show.
you're right.
All of us are needed to fix the economy.
Mm.
Others are looking to their CEO to fix their organization. And deep down in your heart, the CEO can't fix it. You have the ideas. Bring them on board.
Wow, wow. Such deep insights from our guest today, Eunice Maina, is helping us to understand this whole idea of how to overcome the victim's mentality. We've been here since 7:30 p.m. and now we are at 7 minutes past 9 o'clock, and I think we have had enough. What I feel, Eunice, and this is a very sincere comment I'm about to make. We need to have you back again because there is plenty more that we can talk about. And when you begin to talk about work and how people are approaching work with the wrong mentality. And I so much agree with you when you say most people are looking for money and they are not looking for work. And I think that's why we are having some of these challenges we see in workplaces. I so much agree with you because the unemployment situation in our country is not that of lack of jobs, but it is because we do not have people who are willing to work, people who have the right competence, people who have the right drive and the right capability to produce the kind of results that are needed in the world that we are living in today. So we are going to have you back. I hope you find time so you can come back. We finish this conversation on unemployment and how the young generation is really struggling with issues of work because of poor mentality and a bit of what we are calling victims mentality. So in the interest of time, I will allow you a minute to just give us your final remarks as we bring this to a close, and then I'll call on Electin to give some announcements, and then we shall bring this to a close.
Well, thank you so much for this. Yes, let's keep having this conversation.
Yep.
My final remarks, just know that you're powerful beyond measure. You have what it takes to transform first yourself, then your family, then your organization, and eventually our nation. So uh, you know, let's get to know who we are and take that to the world. Think about how much you can give and not just thinking about how much you can take. The Bible says, if it shall come back to you, full measure, shaken together and running over. Thank you.
Wow, that is Eunice Maina for you, our guest today, helping us understand the subject of overcoming victims mentality. We've had a good time here, plenty of insights, plenty of quotes, plenty of nuggets and lessons coming our way from Eunice. Thank you so very much, Eunice, and everybody else who has spared time to come. I know today we have stretched beyond what we had promised to do in terms of time, but now we are bringing this to a close. I will call on Electin to make one or two announcements, and then we shall close this. Electin, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dosso, for the opportunity.
again, thank you so much, Eunice, for the great conversation that we've had today. Thank you also for the guests who asked their questions. And yes, before I come to a close, I'm just going to make some two, three announcements. One, we are going to have a book launch come September 29th of this month. It will be next week on Friday. It will happen in Tedmark Hotel, Village Market, as from 2 in the afternoon. You can also get yourself a Volume 1 and Volume 2 book of the Shillings, either from Nuria Bookstore at the Bazaar Plaza Moi Avenue, or Somanami Bookstore at Greenhouse Mall, Gong Road, and you can also buy them from Amazon.com. Our next live will happen on Monday at from 7:30 to 9 p.m. And for those of us who have missed our previous conversation, you can listen to them from our YouTube channel, Shillings Global Network. Make sure to subscribe to the Shillings Global Network for upcoming conversations. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Shillings newsletter on LinkedIn. For those of us who are in the conversation and would like to take part in the Shillings project, feel free to contact us from our office line 0787 907 684, which I'll repeat 0787 907 684, or 0736 812 942, 0736 812 942, or visit info@zionspanpublishers.com. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Back to you, also.
Well, thank you so much, Electin and Joan, for thank you so much, Electin and Joan, for helping me to run the meeting today. Thank you, all of you who have been able to attend the meeting, all our guests, audience, people who've been listening, and of course, our guest speaker for today, Madam Eunice Maina. It's been a nice time, and I think all of us have found value in the conversation that we've had today. Until we meet again next week on Tuesday, on Monday, I pray that you all will have a good night, and that God will bless you. Thank you so very much. God bless you all.